Hi, this is Micah Utrick with Jacobin magazine. I'm here in Washington, D.C. at the Inauguration protest, and I'm joined by Ben Lorber from Jewish Voices for Peace. Ben, can you first explain what Jewish Voices for Peace is?
Sure, Micah. Jewish Voice for Peace is a national grassroots organization that fights for human rights and justice for Palestinians and all peoples living in Israel-Palestine. We have over 60 chapters nationwide, and we stand in firm support of the Boycott, Divestment, Sanctions, or BDS movement for Palestinian dignity and freedom and equality.
So how do you feel about the prospects for the Palestinian justice movement moving forward under President Trump? I mean, I feel like in the last couple of years there's been some momentum around things like BDS campaigns. Are you worried that momentum is not going to continue? What is your thinking on the next 4 years?
Yeah, well, sort of similar to all of our movements, this is one of the most frightening times, but also the time of unparalleled opportunity and encouraging growth and momentum. We have, the incoming Trump administration, or I guess I should say the Trump administration, because he was just inaugurated, is determined to continue the campaign of suppression against the BDS movement that President Obama's administration enacted, and all U.S. governments since the movement began 10 years ago have fought against. We see a lot of repression. We see on college campuses, we see the U.S. Congress recently has tried to pass a law called the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, which threatens to allow universities to suppress student activists for BDS. We see a lot of other laws that can be very oppressive and dangerous, but we also see unparalleled growth. I think people across the country more than ever stand in support of Palestinian rights. It's really, support for the cause has moved mainstream in America, and I think as Israel's government drifts ever further to the right, and as the Trump administration also goes full-on hard right in support of Israeli settlements and occupation, I think more and more Americans are going to realize that negotiations sponsored by the U.S. government are not the path to justice, and that campaigns of boycott, campaigns of divestment, and campaigns to really put outside pressure and hold Israel accountable are what's necessary. So I think we can expect a lot of growth and momentum, and also I think we can expect increased repression, and we'll have to fight.
In the last couple of years, I know on the state level there have been a bunch of bills that have made BDS illegal in a lot of cases. Now that there are even more Republican-controlled state legislatures, are you worried about that coming down in years to come?
Yes. Well, it's important to remember that the bills that have been proposed and in some cases passed at the state level don't make BDS illegal. That's unconstitutional. BDS is our First Amendment right to protest. What they do is they threaten to penalize entities such as nonprofit organizations or corporations that endorse the BDS movement. Now, what that means, no one knows yet. They essentially say, if you divest from Israel, the government will divest from you. Really, it's a scare tactic. They're trying to chill and to suppress speech. And yes, under Trump, I think we can expect more state governments and the national government to pass laws that attempt to chill speech and to pressure activists to be silent. Boycotting is our First Amendment right. It's constitutionally protected. And like I said, the number of people in the U.S. who support BDS is only going to continue to grow. So I think, all our movements right now are under threat of state repression, and that holds true also for the BDS movement. But I think the answer is to come together and to broaden our base and to fight harder for justice for Palestinians and to fight for justice for all peoples in America that are under attack as well.
What do you think about the Trump cabinet picks, the people like the ambassador to Israel? I mean, all the choices that he's made in terms of Israel and foreign policy more broadly. What does that mean for you and in your campaigns for Palestinian justice?
I think that Trump's cabinet picks, like the proposed ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, is far more to the right than most American Jews, than most Americans. David Friedman is even farther to the right than the Israeli government and Prime Minister Netanyahu. So I think it's going to draw an even sharper line of division in American Jews. More and more American Jews are going to oppose him, are going to realize that they have to make their voices heard, and that if they want to stop Israeli settlements, now is the time to take action, to support BDS campaigns, to put pressure on Israel, to hold it accountable, because we've now elected a government that's farther to the right than the vast majority of Americans and American Jews. We also see Trump's proposed Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, in addition to being horrible on civil rights in America and anti-black, anti-Muslim, a racist bigot in America, he is also friends with David Horowitz, a far right-wing extremist who has done a lot to repress the movement for Palestinian rights on college campuses. So I think, yes, Trump's nominations to the cabinet, the various people he's appointed so far, are very scary for all our movements, including the movement for justice in Palestine. I think it's going to take a big grassroots movement like we see here behind us and all around us, like we're seeing all across the country. We need to keep on building these grassroots movements to put pressure on the rulers that we now have in this country. Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
It's really inspiring to be here today. The very first day of our new fascist president. It's inspiring to know that there's so much resistance on the streets, and I'm going to do everything I can to make this continue, as we all are. So,
all right. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Ben Lower from Jewish Voices for Peace.